we know how much we need those, especially here.
Right, and in hurricane season right now, too. But a quiet weather today. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is tracking that for us. It looks kind of cloudy over there.
It is, but you know what? Clouds at least helping with the heat in Fenton and Cary right now. You can actually see, if you look really closely, there are a couple of raindrops here. I wanted to point this out. Almost nobody is seeing rain right now. There are just a couple of tiny cells on the radar that you can't even see when I'm zoomed out. You've got to zoom all the way in on Wake County. That is what's over Fenton right now. It's going to be out of here in no time. Just this tiny little cell and then one north of 540. Again, not much in the way of rain comparatively, compared to at least the past couple of afternoons. 88 in Cary and Garner right now, 90 in Raleigh, 86 in Rollsville, 87 in Fuquay-Varina. Not bad. As we look ahead toward the afternoon, we'll have about a 30% chance of a storm. High temperatures reach the low to mid 90s today. It's still hot. It is still humid, but there is a little bit of relief in sight. By the end of the week, once we have a cold front pass through, we could see our dew points dip into the upper 60s in spots. That would give us a little bit of a dip in humidity, but we'll take anything we can get. Taking a look at the radar, we have just those tiny little showers right now, but the cold front that brings a better chance for storms still well to our west, and that'll get here tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we should be off to a dry start. As we look past lunchtime, we'll watch for storms to make their way through the triad. For us, during the early afternoon, it would just be more of these isolated pop-up cells, but the more organized thunderstorm activity should get here tomorrow evening, and that'll swing through overnight and likely last into Wednesday morning as well. So a heads up, there could be a little bit of rain early in the day Wednesday. That, coupled with a lot of cloud cover, could finally keep us in the 80s for highs, though the humidity is still high. And then Wednesday afternoon, it's really going to depend on where this front stalls. If the front does still stall closer to where this model has it, we could see more of these thunderstorms in our area. But if it's able to progress closer to the coast, that would limit the better chance for storms Wednesday evening to the coast. So for now, we're going with a 60% chance of storms both days. By Thursday, behind the front, 91 with just a 20% chance of a thunderstorm on Thursday. Not looking bad for the end of the week, but let's talk more about July 4th weekend. The heat does back off this week, but it gradually builds back in over the holiday weekend. On July 4th, 93 degrees, 94 Saturday, and 95 Sunday. Each day only comes with a 20% chance of rain and storms. Coming up in the next half hour, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk more about 4th of July weekend, that 20% rain chance, and we're going to talk about the tropics. There is something to monitor. That front that moves through Wednesday and Thursday has a lot to do with it. So we'll have more on that coming up.
And honestly, do we have the bandwidth to think about the threat of asteroids here when we've got possible severe storms and all that, and the heat as well?
Yes, we got a lot to talk about. Yeah, and the heat not affecting golfers today right now, at least on the golf course. This is Longleaf Family and Golf Club. You can see some people maintaining the greens out there, enjoying it. We will reach the low to mid 90s again today for most of our area. Most of us are going to be in the low 90s. The mid 90s would be closer to the cities. Of course, that's because of all the concrete. 90s expected for most of us, though, the bottom line here. And we'll stay in the 90s most of the week. But for the 4th of July, highs are in the lower 90s. Minimal storm chances on Friday. That's the good news I have for you. And as we look ahead to 4th of July weekend, if you're doing a long weekend, high temperatures should be in the low to mid 90s, kind of bouncing up each day. Not bad, though. Storm chances just at 20%, so it is mainly dry. However, there will probably be a storm or two on the radar each afternoon. We know the heat index can really alter how it feels outside this time of year due to the humidity. So let's talk about that and the setup that we have here at the jet stream level. This big ridge of high pressure, the heat dome, is what we were stuck underneath last week when our high temperatures reached the triple digits. As we look ahead through this week, we're not right underneath that heat dome. It's going to stay to our southwest, but we're still going to be under the influence of it. We're still close enough to see numbers climb, but just not as bad as last week. That means the heat index most days should be in the upper 90s to low 100s. After dealing with 110 plus last week, we'll feel a little bit more prepared for it. We've got to talk about the tropics, though, something actually interesting close to home. And this is what we told you about last month during our 2025 hurricane season outlook here at WRAL. Notice this region right here. It actually extends from the Gulf all the way off the Carolina coast, there's a 20% chance for tropical development over the next week in that region. Now, the European model ensemble does give it a better chance of developing, but closer to the Gulf side of Florida, about a 40% chance of tropical depression developing. So this is an area to watch, and this is why. It's these stalled fronts during the early months of hurricane season that can spin up what we call homegrown systems. Because this front is going to stall here, we're going to watch to see if low pressure is able to spin up somewhere along this front. It's warm over the waters, so that could lead to some tropical development briefly. However, the good news for us is that this is stalled offshore, so it would follow along the front and likely stay offshore anyway, even if that 20% chance does come to fruition. Bottom line here, do not cancel your weekend plans, but it's something that we will continue to monitor for you. Mid-90s today, about a 30% chance of a pop-up summertime storm. 92 tomorrow and 87 on Wednesday. Tomorrow and Wednesday will be the best chance of storms this week, mainly tomorrow evening and into Wednesday. Due to that cold front, it's a 60% chance of storms and a level 1 severe weather threat. Then storm chances go down a bit for the holiday weekend, but temperatures slowly climb again. Highs climb back into the low to mid 90s, and our lows are in the 70s for the next week.